Hi everyone, this week we've got Brian on the show. We're going to be talking about how homeowners don't start the moving process looking for the cheapest fees. As always, we always have the introduction first. So Brian, before we do anything useful, could you give us a quick introduction as to who you are, what you've been up to, please?
Of course. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. My name is Brian Farrell. I'm founder of Acaboom, and before that, Metropix. But that's going back a long time. But we're here to talk about Acaboom today, so we'll do that.
Awesome. And my first question: so why do you think cheap fees aren't the defining decision factor in the process for the homeowner?
Two reasons to that. I mean, the first time I heard anybody talking about fees was Peter Knight on stage doing his, I think it was EA Masters or one of the one Sunday Times before that. And I remember everybody in the room, and I was an estate agent at the time, folded their arms when he said, homeowners are not about fees. Because if you're an estate agent and you're a valuer, you know, every day of the week, all it seems to come down to are fees.
Yep.
Some years later, I went to sell my house and I was on the receiving end of what I was doing as an agent. And I invited the three best agents in the town round. They all came round, they did their bits, they were all very good. Afterwards, I was surprised with about three things. One was I was a little bit confused about the variation of pricing. And I thought I'm best placed to understand how an agent arrives at a price, but my 3-bedroom standard house had varied hugely. I was a little bit surprised that none of them had sold to me hard. I didn't want to be sold to, but I thought some of them might have said the reason you should choose us is because we're different, because that hadn't really happened. And the third thing was, I remember thinking after about 2 or 3 days, I couldn't remember what any of them had said. And it was then that I thought, well, they're all the same. I may as well go with the cheapest fee. And that was the moment that I remember thinking, you know, that's my experience, and that was exactly what I think was happening to homeowners. I didn't start off wanting the cheapest fee. In fact, I would happily have paid the highest fee for the best agent if I could have identified the best agent. The problem was everybody was the same. So that's why I don't think homeowners are after the cheapest fee. And all of the surveys, both those that have been done by Peter Knight, I talked about a moment ago, but also subsequently Acaboom have done their own survey. Same message time and time again. It's not about the fees for the vast majority of people.
And that's from your own experience as well as an agent, isn't it? So you've got the Acaboom stuff and obviously your own experience as an agent.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so leading on from that, what can you do different to wow the homeowner?
Well, that's why we set up Acaboom. It was to try and help an agent. I hate the expression "stand out from the crowd" because it's used every day of the week, but basically do that, be different. And if you start by looking at what agents are doing, they all, and I say we all, when I was an agent, we were all doing the same thing. Appointment confirmation, you might drop a brochure around before the appointment if you were really good. You would turn up at the appointment, you would walk around the house, you'd sit down, have a cup of coffee, chocolate biscuit, hopefully, if you were lucky. And then you would give them the marketing advice. That's what everybody does. And then they leave the property and they send a hard copy valuation letter. I never read the brochure that was left, and I rarely read the valuation letter except the price. But there was no point of difference. You know, 3 agents coming around, they're all doing the same thing. So I think here, what's important is you've got to sit down and decide, what do you do better than your competitors? It might be your marketing, it might be your photographs, it might be self-progression, more experienced team, it might be longer hours. I mean, there's 101 things you could talk about. But then having identified what those are, you've got to get those across in an efficient way. And efficient way would not only be verbally communicating them, but it would be using visuals, because people remember more of what they see than what they hear. So that's why the Acaboom puts together a presentation that's got strong visuals, one key message per slide, and it tries to get those messages across effectively. So even if the valuer doesn't do a very good job of getting them across effectively, when the presentation or the proposal is sent to the homeowner afterwards, it's on the table. Not literally, it's digital, but it's there to be seen by the homeowner and any other parties involved in the decision-making process. So perhaps Mr. Smith or Mrs. Smith that wasn't at the market appraisal, they can also go through the presentation with the client. And importantly, we might come on to this, but that presentation is being tracked. So it's going to tell the valuer when the homeowner's viewing it. And that's paramount to calling the homeowner at the moment in time when they're actually thinking of making a decision.
No, I like that. It's like it's the speed, the convenience when they're looking at it to be helpful, to be proactive, and stand out. I know you don't like to use it, but stand out from the crowd because you're able to do that over somebody else, for example.
Yeah, exactly. And it's, what I'm talking about is not just down to estate agents standing out from the crowd. Frankly, if any of us go
Yep.
out to buy a product, whether it's kitchens or new windows, you're going to have a beauty parade of the kitchen companies or the window companies. And when they come round, you're looking for somebody to do and say, to get across the key messages to use their product,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's professionalism, knowledge, quality, speed, timing. They've got to get all those messages across. I don't think, well, my experience of being on the receiving end of being sold to, not lots of people out there are great at it. It's the minority that are great, and
Mm-hmm.
something like an Acaboom type product out there that makes you stand out is just visually powerful and just makes you look good right from the start. It's an easy way to put yourself in a better place.
I'm with you. And my last question for you, which is, what one takeaway piece of advice could you give to an agent that they should implement, in your opinion?
One, accepting that we've already nailed that you've got to stand out from the crowd, so you've got to be using visuals to get key messages across. So one other, I think it would be, lots of agents will come out of evaluation. If you're old enough to remember a 1 to 31 follow-up system, they would drop it into 3 days or 4 days or 5 days and sort of call, you'd leave a message, you don't get through. 68% of instructions come on within 30 days. Only 7% come on the same day. The vast majority are going to take more than a month, month 2 or 3 to come on. So it's timing your follow-up call at the right moment in time. So having a tool that tells you when somebody's looking at the proposal, is likely to be coming on the market is key, but also having a nurture program during that period of time. Acaboom does that for you. And we'll be sending market updates to homeowners with the agent's branding on it. It's just keeping the agent's brand at the forefront of that homeowner's thought process.
No, I think you're right. When you look at the stats and stuff, it's not for a homeowner who's deciding whether it's right for them to move, where they move, the new schools, all the rest of it for their children, whatever, right? It's not as quick of a decision as, just buying, a software product or a certain product, It's a lot more of a kind of uphill battle, whether you do it or don't do it, right? So I do agree with you on that, and I think that's a very good point. So you gave us 2, which is good. I always like extra. So Brian, thank you so much for coming on the show. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and it was great speaking with you.
And you, have a good day. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.